Welcome to Sports Trebuchet. This is Marty.
I'm Kyle.
I'm Josh.
And we, before we jumped into it, because I fucked the intro up already, follow us at Sports Trebuchet on Twitter, at Sports Trebuchet on Instagram, sportstrebuchetpod@gmail.com, and go ahead and subscribe. Hit that like button. Just kidding, we're not on YouTube. All right, Josh, take it away. I'm sorry.
Marty, act like you've been there before.
The 20th episode, I'm fucking up still.
All right, cool. So this is a special episode. We have a special guest with us today. We are going to be discussing popular conspiracy theories, or really just any conspiracy theory that our guest wants to talk about. Be it conspiracy theories of anything outside of the usual trains of thought. So, welcome, Bobby.
Thank you very much there, my friend Josh. Hey, bless up everybody. Glad to be here. It's some crazy shit going on in the world. Crazy shit going on right beside me, but you don't see that view.
You talking about me?
Yes.
I'm just setting the timer so you can see how long this thing's going to go, that's all.
Yeah. You got crazy shit, so...
I'm crazy. It's
all right, so when we spoke about this episode and having you on, I said that we would kind of have a couple of things in reserve, kind of popular conspiracy theories or anything like that we wanted to bring up and just discuss, because we know that you're into a lot of this stuff. And we also knew that I also kind of let you know to bring 3 or 4 of your own kind of pieces of material that we either know about or have never seen before, or just you want to talk about to the masses or the dozens that may be listening.
The dozens and dozens.
So I figure it would be best to kick off with you and whatever you've got. And we will bounce back and forth on all your material, and then we'll look at what the time looks like and see if we can go into some of the more popular myths, conspiracies, facts, legends, whatever.
And then maybe talked about during what you bring. So let's see.
Yes.
Let's see. So it's 3 topics. One that I enjoyed. Now this one is more, I want to say it's questionable, but I like it because it intrigues me very much so. And the other 2 are more hard-based. But the solar simulator, or the sun simulator, have any of you ever heard of that?
No.
Have you heard that Germany has a patent and that people are currently trying to create patents to create what they call sun simulators to hang in the sky with high-altitude balloons? Nobody haven't heard?
To replace the sun, to simulate the sun?
To simulate the sun, because some believe, and when I say some, I'm referring to astrophysicists. Now, whether we're talking about the ones who give truth, or the ones who do not, or if you're talking about flat Earth to a globe, orbital, that's all up for argument. But if you go online, you can literally find patents for this, amongst other things, which I find interesting. And I think it was in Nigeria. And I'm not saying if these videos are real or not. I just find them very intriguing. But it's videos that you can find where the sun is blinking. You can also find videos where there's a black object in the center of the sun. Now, personally,
We're talking about the current sun.
the current sun.
Okay.
Not these simulated suns that people are trying to develop.
Right. And the current sun took a picture and there was a black dot in the middle of it. And this was about 10 years ago. Never knew what it was. I asked questions about it. Then I come across the theory of the sun simulator. Now, again, China is currently making a moon simulator. To let you know how crazy this is. You can look that up. That is currently happening right now. But I'm very curious if you ever heard it. I guess not, because in Nigeria, they have video of the sun flashing in the sky. And in other places around the world, they have images of the sun flashing in the sky.
Now, when you say flashing, are we talking like it's like a strobe or like a swelling?
On off.
Okay.
Now, about the swelling, what was this? The 3 kids who saw the Virgin Mary. The 3 kids who saw the Virgin Mary. This was they saw the sun, Virgin Mary appeared to them, and there was a wonder in the sky where the sun actually flashed in front of thousands of people who witnessed it. It starts with a P. It was back in the early 1900s.
Okay, so not the biblical Virgin Mary.
No, not
the three kings went and visited after.
No, these were three little kids. I'm sorry, I'm jumping all over the place.
That's okay. Yeah. If you take a deep breath, focus where you're gonna go. You're cool. Because I don't want you to sidetrack yourself.
We're just hanging on.
Just hanging on.
Because most of these, admittedly, I haven't heard any of these yet. So all of them are going to be new. Yeah, so all of them are going to be new. I willingly did not want to look at anything before this podcast because I want you to educate me.
And neither is Kyle. The only person in here that really has any basis on this stuff is myself after the very brief conversation we had about this stuff 6-7 weeks ago. And at that point, I thought it was excellent conversation and debate we had. And I thought, let's bring it online and make it a deep dive instead. So that's why we're here now.
So I'm going to say this to you all. It is very scary. We'll go back to the beginning. The sun simulator that is being created by two different nations and the moon simulator that is being created by China right now. Now, real talk, Germany has one and America is in their building process of one. As China is working on their moon, their lunar simulator right now. Now, why? I don't know. You know, what would be the objective of having such a thing in the sky along something that is supposedly going to last and run its natural course for the next, billions of years? You know.
So that was going to be my first question. Is the sun that we're seeing now, whether it's your opinion or the community, like any opinion that you've seen or whatever, is the sun that we're seeing now the ball of gas, or is the sun we're seeing now an artificial sun?
Very good question. In my personal opinion, first of all, the light coming from the sun is a lot different than what it was about 10, 15 years ago. If you notice, it's a more white, brighter light opposed to the, not I want to say yellowish tint, but it's a lot different than what it was 10 years ago, in my opinion. I'm 43 years old.
Yeah, so I was going to say I'm a bit younger, so like these two.
I try to actively not stare at the sun.
Admittedly, I don't stare at the sun that often, so maybe I just didn't notice.
But me, I'm the idiot that does. So when I'm driving by and you look at the side of the trees, you see like a white burning of the leaves on the side. Have you ever seen that? Like this on the side of the trees, on the leaves, it kind of like is whited out.
So you're saying, like, looking out here, we're in Charlotte, and it's 5:30, so it's about to be sunset, or artificial sunset, depending on who you think. So you're saying on this side of the trees, where that white light is hitting those leaves, and it's showing kind of cresting white on those more glossy leaves?
Right, but it would be a permanent, even when the lights disappear from the sky, and you put a flashlight there, you can still see that it was damaged by the intensity. Right.
Okay.
So during the summertime, you'll see a lot of that coming from that orb. So I don't believe that orb in the sky is one gas, helium, and hydrogen. I don't think that it's a fusion sphere object. I don't believe in none of that.
Okay.
So it's not a star in your opinion?
It's not a star in my opinion. Okay. It's not a nuclear power plant in my opinion. It's none of that. It's too close. We will be dead.
What do you think it is then?
In my personal opinion? Okay, now we get into like the dope conspiracies. I do believe
That's what we're here for.
No doubt, my friend. And
all the best conspiracies.
I believe it's some sort of dimensional portal that is bringing energy in from a different place. The reason why I say that is because, one, they tell us that the sun is 93 million miles away from us. It's not. If you look at any scale that physicists or astrophysicists show you, you know what I'm saying, per the scale that they show you, we are way too close. If you look directly up into the sky per their scale, you would have to look to the far left or the far right just to see a blue sky because the sun would be too immense. Think about the scales. This is the sun. In most scales, you have little Mercury, Venus, Earth is right here, but the sun, per their own scales, per their own measurements, what they tell us, is here. Look how immense that is. Opposed to where we are in distance.
This is an audio medium, so I didn't want you to point that out.
Right.
we do see it. But so you're suggesting that if it is in the atmosphere and it's shining onto us, whatever it is, that it's further than 93 million miles away, because if it was in fact that close, it would take up our entire sky. I just want to make sure I'm clearing it up.
Very almost clear. I would say that it's not farther than 93 miles. It's not 93 million miles. I think it's a lot closer than that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
And not as big by the way of it being closer.
By any stretch of the imagination. Like the moon is not 233 or 235,000 miles away. Anybody can see that through natural observation. If you go to California, just stand there on any full moon night, the moon looks like it's about to hit the earth. It's a way you could use a regular camera, Canon, one of their cameras, and zoom all the way in and get very beautiful images of the moon very close up. We do this now.
So we won't go deep into this one. Quick flash question. Moon landing. Fake or real?
Fake.
Okay, moving on. I don't want to go on too deep onto these things. So,
but couldn't it be real because it's also closer, so it's really not that big of a leap for mankind to get there? Hypothetically. I'm going to put that out there. Just potentially, if all they're going is like 3,000 miles out and turn it around, a little bit more achievable than 250.
That's if the moon is a solid at all, because they tell us that the moon reflects sunlight, but the moon creates its own source. Why would you say that? Well, if per their own scale, if the sun is on the other side while the moon is on this side, when it's way too, the light is not going to reach so it'd be so much light on the ground for the moon to be in full reflection mode like it is in the sky. If you watch the moon and look anywhere around, there's no sunlight there. I don't care if it's clouds in the sky. Even when the sun is setting, it still shines on the clouds, right? So if this light is beaming on the moon like that, other things will be reflecting this light that is up there with it. The clouds, the different levels of clouds on a rainy night, whatever the case may be. This is not freaking the case. The moon is a self-illuminating thing. It's not real. We can't land on it. We can't even get past the Van Halen belt and the Van Halen belt, the radiation belt.
The Hopper teacher belt.
Is that
Van Halen?
No.
That's Motley Crue.
Motley Crue. I'm not.
Jump.
It's Jump. Okay, the Jump. It's the David Lee Roth film.
I used to like that song. I'm old enough to remember it.
So I know you're probably not well versed, but at least in the know that there's a lot of discussions about whether the moon is even real, as to whether it's something that we put up there. Some people believe that the moon wasn't even something we talked about before kind of like the 1000s, and someone or something put it there at some point in time. So, given that the thoughts you have or the thought process there is on what the sun is, what's the verdict on the moon?
On the moon, I'm so split. I'll be honest with you, because like you just mentioned, you can still find writings, even in Plato and people like that, who talk about a group of people who existed before the moon was in the sky. The Africans believe that, it was brought into the sky. They call it a hollow egg. The NASA scientists who say that they landed there say they crashed a satellite into it. They were saying they were measuring for water in the dust, right? Trying to get the helium-3. Mm-hmm. But what actually they did was they smashed it in and they said it run like a bell for 5 hours. It rung like a bell for 5 hours. Now, this is the thing that's split, because we also know that there's more planetary bodies in the sky than what they're telling us. The whole point is that they're lying to us a lot of things. So that question I can't just give you a straight answer to, because based upon all the knowledge that I'm gathering, all the information that I know, I have a split decision. No decision.
Okay.
If that makes sense.
Okay. So kind of going off of that, where the moon rang like a bell for 5 hours. Mm-hmm. From what I understand of space is that space is a vacuum and there's no sound.
Think about this for a moment. I'm glad you brought that point out.
Okay.
So if space is a vacuum, right? So how does a shuttle get through? First thing a person to think is, well, it has fire coming out the ass end, it's chemicals, it's propulsion system. Well, that's stupid. Why is it stupid, Bobby? Because propulsion only works if you have friction. That means you have to have air, you have to have an atmosphere in order for propulsion to work for you. Am I right?
So you're suggesting that, so the propulsion would need a force to be pushing off of.
And if space is a perfect vacuum, then that's not going to happen. And two, you can't even get past the radiation belt. We don't have materials that would keep the radiation off of us. Period. Sputnik was the first unmanned. Then the Russians sent a dog up there. I don't know if the dog came back, but I heard rumor of a cosmonaut that actually burned up on return. You know what I'm saying? So I don't believe. It's a lot of things that I'm questioning, because as you start to learn more and more about science, frequency, vibrations and things, the truth start to come, and you have to question some of the BS that they done taught us so far. You know what I mean?
So I had two questions, and I'm not sure how far off we're going to be getting, but we're only like 15 minutes in, so I'm going to be adventurous and drag us off
please
course.
Do.
It's on course but off course. So
No.
two things that have come into my head that I want to talk about, and we'll stick with space and the moon and the sun first. Marty watched a documentary a couple of weeks ago called Behind the Curve.
Behind the Curve. And I do want to shout out the Tell Me Where to Turn podcast, because they were the ones that talked about it and made me want to watch it.
Big up.
So it's a documentary on Netflix. If you haven't watched it, you should.
Okay.
and I know Kyle's
I
just
started it. Yeah, it's about an hour and a half long.
I want to watch it.
I knew that it was going to be half decent because the last podcast that I had recommended to the last documentary I had recommended to me on Netflix ended up being Kyle's new PSN name. Like, it was this documentary about this like kid. It was bad.
Abducted in plain sight.
Abducted in plain sight.
Yeah, wow.
So this one I wanted to get a hold of, and it's essentially a documentary. It's very respectful. And it kind of gives you the 50-50 view from people who believe the Earth is flat. And I guess there's like 8 million versions of the Earth being flat, which I didn't know until I watched that. And scientists who obviously believe the Earth is a globe.
Right.
And going on from the sun and the Earth and the moon, what's your thoughts on the Earth? Is it a globe? Is it a plane? Is it a dome?
Ooh.
Is it hollow?
Everything ancient and old before man call ourselves human and wise. Everything prior to civilizations all have spoken about the earth being flat. And as I go over some of that information that I can get to, and then I look at the evidence given by the flat earthers today, I don't want to say I'm split. Everything inside of me wants to say the earth is round and everything they told me was the truth. But then the other side of me, the right side brain, says, no, it's flat. It's flat. It's like, if I can sit here and just do simple observation, that this is what they taught us not to do anymore. They taught us not to trust our senses. I get it. You know what I'm saying? Because we're limited by them also. So I get it. So when you look at...
As you wear glasses while you sit here.
Right. So even as we do simple observations, looking at the moon, like I was saying earlier about in California, and how just immense it look, you can go on YouTube and find all kind of videos of, I'm going to just say an orb that's similar to the sun, that is nowhere...
Thought it was me.
That is nowhere 93 million miles away. I don't believe that it's flat. If you could stand on the bank, what's the pond, the lake here, Lake Michigan, and with a telescope you can shoot straight across, you know what I mean, and see level land. If it's the mathematics is right, for every mile we're supposed to dip 8 inches in curvature. Is that right?
It's something similar, but I think
something
it's
along those lines.
Yeah, I want to say that it's over 3 miles. It might be 15 total inches or something.
They
It
did
mentions
something
that
very similar in the documentary where they were talking about the guy's view from his house and seeing Seattle. And
it was like 30 miles away or something.
Yeah, and you'd say, he was like, it would be lower down, you wouldn't be able to see it.
You wouldn't be able to see it. And then take this into consideration. All of these cats that go up in space when we get their images through their windows, all of them are fishbowls. All of them are fishbowls. Even if you slow down any of this wobbly turn and just slow it down and watch it, you can see as then high altitude that this is flat land. It's just nothing but flat land everywhere. If you're looking at the guy Red Bull who did the jump, those
Felix something or another.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
And he jumped from the edge of space down into
the orbit thing.
Couldn't pay me enough to do it.
At all, my friend. I'm blown at. But even then, once we found that they've been using fishbowl lenses and stuff like that for a long time. You know what I'm saying? Then, of course, if this is what you present to the people, this is what they're going to think. You're not going to even trust your own senses no more. You're just going to start trusting what other people tell you, and that's our problem. We lost the ability to trust in ourselves, and that's why we still believe as we believe. I think it's flat.
Okay. So it was split at the beginning of the sentence.
I'm back. Like I said,
he won himself over.
So I guess I wondered too, like just slightly tying into it, because we talked sun, moon, and then we went to the earth. Does what you believe in the most regarding the moon or the sun lead it to be easier to believe that earth is flat? Because if hypothetically you thought the earth is round, maybe that simulated moon or simulated sun's a little bit hard to construct. But with the flat earth, it makes a little bit more sense for your previous beliefs. You know what I mean?
I do.
Okay.
I agree. I say that what you said is right. You're right. Looking at what I now believe about the sun and the moon and what I believe about space not being a perfect vacuum, to me is ridiculous. It's not a perfect vacuum. And the more that the sun is not a nuclear power plant, it's not a helium and hydrogen combustion chamber sitting right there in the sky like that. And now the more that I start to learn about science and math, and I can say, no, that's not right. Then, these are the reasons why I believe that the Earth is flat, even though the left part of me wants to say it's not. It's not. The left part keeps saying no, it's not. The right part says yes. It is flat. You know what I mean?
You're making him flip flop now.
Yeah.
That's a healthy thing.
It is a healthy thing.
Anybody that's 100% on anything, even if it's as simple as like I can't even imagine a concept. Right, because this is blue, right? But I'm colorblind, so it actually looks gray to me. So it's technically not true.
Yeah, I'm not totally sure what color it is. I'm also colorblind.
You said it was blue, and I was like, "Fuck!" This whole time I thought it was gray. Like I'm really fucking.
My wife can attest. She'll ask me what color one of my shirts is, and I'll say it. She'll say I'm wrong. So.
That's extremely interesting.
So
color is also a construct, I guess.
I want to move to the second part of it, and then I'm going to let you move on to whatever your next bit is.
Okay, and I might have a follow-up question if it's still flat Earth around
yes,
flat.
It is kind of. So I'll ask the question. He can follow up, and it will kind of bring to an end the artificial sun stuff, unless you want to carry on.
For sure.
Let us know once we hit these last two.
No doubt. Right.
You keep numerous times in the conversation we've had is that they want us to know that the sun is a nuclear power plant, right? They want us to know that the moon is whatever. They want us to think the Earth is round. Who's they?
When it comes to they, I don't want to say the first name everybody want to throw out is the Illuminati. I get it. You know what I'm saying? Bavarian Illuminati, 1776, the lightning when he was traveling paper. I get the whole, I get it. And it's very much so an actuality. I am a Mason, been a Mason since 98. So yeah, I most definitely believe that shit is real. Most definitely believe a lot of shit is real. But yeah.
For what it's worth, my grandfather was a Grandmaster Patron.
Then with
the
that, yeah, he can go anywhere in the globe and be welcome, like real shit, anywhere, period, and be taken care of. His whole family, his grandfather, right now, if he's alive.
Do y'all understand or know about the Masonic Lodge at all?
Not at all.
So, if nothing else, finding to learn, which makes it even more cryptic, everything they learn, they memorize. They're not allowed to write down. So, everything that Bobby had to learn, he learned and was taught, but couldn't write down and take notes, and then has to be able to spiel that back during the different levels.
True, though. Using that line. That question, the last part again, because I want to get back to what Marty just said too, but the last part of the question you just asked me?
Just who is they?
They. So it's not, you have to understand that, okay, so in my personal opinion, so they are the individuals, okay, all right, so I believe that frequency vibration, that's what I believe that motivates existence in the Venus three-dimensional magnetic electrofield thing that we are in that we call reality. Okay, I understand that. So they are to me these particular deities who are creating situations that stay habitual, that continuously produce nothing but fear. Because what we forget and don't realize is that emotions has effects on your surrounding and on you simply on a cellular and subatomic level. You know what I mean? But I feel like these individuals, certain individuals have low frequencies already and are easily infested by these particular fourth dimensional beings. Now, it might sound odd, but with that being said, I don't want to say about use ghosts for example, but let's just say that, like, here's a common example, you know, there are multiple frequencies that coexist along each other like a radio dial. You go 101.1, 2, 3, 4, so on. So who I believe is they. I don't believe they is like some believe are the Palladians, this, that, or the third. I truly believe that there's a negative entity that has guided man to certain levels and provided certain technology so that man, unbeknownst to them, can create things that they will actually utilize for the destruction of man and the freedom of themselves. Now, I know that's a lot to say, but think about what I just said and get back to me, because that's exactly what I truly believe.
Well, I'm glad it's on record.
Right.
Yeah.
I can pop back and listen to that whenever I need to.
But it sounds like what some religions would refer to as sin, right? The innate willingness to sin, not sinned. To sin that's driving us, whether it's to prevent sinning or to want to sin, and that's what's spiraling us. In a very simple, like,
very much so.
Third grader level of what you just said, perhaps, maybe.
It goes back to the story of, to use a very simple example would be, you know right from wrong. Okay, you know right from wrong. What is
debatable?
Right. Very debatable. Right. Well, let's just
you
say
know Kyle very well.
Right. Let me go over here. So, most people people know right from wrong, but it's something in you that makes you choose what will stop the pursuit of somebody else's happiness. That's what I'm saying. You want to murder, you want to kill. It is people out there, you can find shit on the deep web all day of sick fucking individuals. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
It's people where you ain't even got to go that far. You got Reddit, 4chan, you know, you can see motherfuckers doing the sickest things. Something in them is making them, persuading them to move forward in these choices. That's what I'm saying. Whatever that is what's making this shit happen. To leapfrog out just a second, but still relate. You have these machinery now. It was what's my man, the one who created D-Wave? Oh my man, Dwayne Wade.
D-Wave.
No, D-Wave. D-Wave. It's an artificial intelligence computer. And with D-Wave, he said that.
Was it Jordy Rosie?
Thank you very much. Look him up.
One thing. Keep that hand away from your mouth.
Okay,
because we need your voice to carry.
Okay. So y'all check out him. Check out this guy in artificial intelligence because.
What's his name?
Jordy Rosie. Geordie. Rose is his last name, actually, not Rosie.
Cool.
Co-created D-Wave Computers. This guy, he sat there and gave a lecture, and he said, basically, we are unleashing things that you would not be able to comprehend. He said already that they can peer into, with the quantum computer, it can literally go into other parallel existences and find itself to get answers that we may not have in this existence. This is what this man said this thing is capable of doing and has done. Now think about this for a moment. That's a technology that uses a quantum chip that's about as small as my finger that use quantum qubits. Now, we're not even talking about bits. We're talking about qubits where the 1 and the 0 coexist at the same time, super transpositioning. You know what I mean? Then you get into the CERN. What is fucking CERN? It's a motherfucking 17-mile long pipeline that shoots plasma counterclockwise and clockwise like a mercury field, but we'll talk about that later because that causes UFOs to lift, but that's a different subject. But anyway, this plasma is doing this shit. You know what I'm saying? And you're colliding particles, and this shit is 17 miles long on the grounds that they said was the building of Apollyon back in the old days. And we know that Apollyon was the name of the angel that sat hell. He's the one.
You talk about Apollyon all the time, Kyle.
Oh yeah, he's my boy.
You know,
Apollyon was the bringer of war, right?
And they say that CERN sits on top of where his palace is and everything like that. But again, you have these things in the CERN facility. They have already said that they're able to peer into other dimensions. And I'm not quoting somebody off of YouTube. I'm quoting their own fucking paperwork.
Okay.
You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah.
This is their own paperwork. They're saying we can already peer into other dimensions, CERN. Artificial intelligence whole job in its existence is to be able to find itself in parallel existences and bring back resources. Artificial intelligence. CERN started getting built back in the 1950s, 1960s, okay? We didn't have the technology yet to make this thing come to fruition. Where the fuck did it come from? So in my personal, going back to the question, I say all of that to say that I feel that something has guided man. Unbeknownst to man, those who rule, thinking that they're ruling for their own egotistical and selfish ways and everything, but I believe that they have been used. Just like Woodrow Wilson sold the people to the Federal Reserve Bank, I feel like, humanity has been...
Jeff Bezos is a billionaire, not necessarily because he's a billionaire, but because destiny's drawn him there because for a greater purpose.
These things want in.
Beings from a different plane of existence.
You feel what I'm saying? So that's kind of my ideology.
Okay.
Thank y'all for listening.
You had a question. I know we went way off, but you had a flat earth question.
Sure. So going back to flat earth, we're going all over the place now. If the earth is flat, what's at the end?
Oh shit! So what's at the end? Like real talk. Here's one theory that I do like, and I'm only speaking in theories right now. So So the one thing, the theory that I like the best right now when it comes to that is that it is districts. So if you can imagine what our continents look like flatted out, and we have a border of ice called Antarctica, or whatever, south, north, whatever. We have ice wall. Okay, and once you get out of this particular pod, you go over, you'll find another one, whether as large or smaller, but other continents and people. You understand what I'm saying? So it's like different districts on this expansive, incomprehensible land.
Like an ant farm next to another ant farm.
Okay.
Dope visual. Appreciate it.
I got you.
That's just my personal opinion, but that's only one theory because it's scary what can possibly be right now if you consider the fact that everything that you hear, see, smell, touch, and taste are nothing but electrical translations by your brain. None of this shit is fucking real. Right. So, you know what I'm saying? So when you could...
We're on a podcast, Bobby. You're fucking... Is there a theory you got on that?
No.
So I guess the question
He doesn't have a theory yet. That one.
I want a theory on the triangulation of that call right when we're fucking recording.
I guess the big question for you, Carl, is red pill or blue pill?
Ooh. Choose wisely.
Context. Give me both.
Well,
The green pill, I believe, is what that means.
Yeah,
No, it's purple.
the purple. Give me a purple pill.
we're about 30 minutes in and we've covered one of your subjects.
Right.
So let's move on to whatever segment you want to hit up next. Whether it ends up being related or not,
I'll tell you.
where are we going?
If you want to segue yourself, or if you want Josh can throw in one of his, give you a break, and then you jump into one of yours. What is going to work better for you?
That's real cool. I would like that. I need to go check on myself real quick. I just got that text message saying you need to come check yourself real quick and everything. You know Jeff is not there.
The man is checking.
The man is checking on me, and I got to go make sure the man ain't got my back in a sling trying to shoot across this pond water.
Hi, my name is Joshua Tracy.
And I am Corwin Heller.
And we are the hosts of a statistics and sports podcast called Juicing the Numbers.
We cover the NFL, college football, MLB, and the NHL with anything that we like to talk about in between.
If you like sports and the numbers behind it, come check out our show, Juicing the Numbers, on iTunes, Spotify, Stitcher, wherever you find podcasts. Hit us up on Twitter at JuicingPod.
Bobby's back. The man didn't skip him across the pond. Josh, if you want to take it away again.
Yeah, so let's crack on with what is your second topic, your second at least jump-off point that we wanted to go. We've hit artificial suns, we've hit the moon, we've hit flat earth, we've hit we've hit all of this stuff. Where are we going next?
I want to take a step back into two things, and I pull one apart of what I was talking about earlier, and that is CERN and my fascination with CERN. Okay, CERN is such a...
Is that with a C or an S?
CERN. Again, I think it started building, they broke ground in the 1950s or 60s, I believe. But there are more smaller CERN facilities. First of all, there are particle accelerators that bash particles together to quote-unquote...
Hadron Collider.
Yeah. Exactly. There you go. So you're going to find, for a moment though, I was thinking like, okay, so you guys are going to crash particles almost are at the speed of light. Let's talk about the machine first. The machine is lined up with so many big giant magnets that they say when they turn it on, the electromagnetic field rivals the Earth. That's one. That's crazy scary to me, but it is 17 miles long, 300 feet under the ground. You understand? So with this, you guys are taking plasma particles in this, and you're doing this. So you're left, right at the same time. That by itself motion with mercury causes a reaction, first of all. So best believe with plasma, it's going to cause a reaction. Some people say that, and when I say some people, images, I didn't know that they had cameras inside of the CERN tunnels, but they do, and certain images have been caught. They have turned this machine on in the area where, because it's Switzerland and France, and they have gotten reports from the locals of giants and mythical things that we would say, you stupid, you're drinking way too much, but officers were getting mad calls about this type of shit, right?
Yeah.
So you're looking at this machinery, man, and this thing collides particles at the speed of light, and when it bashes, these particular particles that come out of it are particles that are created from it. You understand what I'm saying?
So matter's being created.
I believe so, because they're saying it's being broken apart. You know what I'm saying? Because you're smashing two cars in each other to see the inner parts of it, but it's a whole different... You could do that different. We did it with an atom. We didn't have to crash an atom together because that would have caused an explosion, right? We just split it.
We did. It was just unfortunately over Japan twice, and it didn't go well.
Right. So, you got a point. But this machinery, man, is so crazy because, again, you can find a video on YouTube right now. This is of the doctors, the professors that were having a lecture, and it was a lady. I forgot where she was from, but she had on glasses, long hair, and she was showing images around CERN. And one of the images, she said it like she was chuckling, like a lot of these images, you're going to see things that are not really there. Basically, you're going to see other dimensions. And she showed a picture of a hill, and on this hill it was a stairway, and she said we like to call this one the stairway to heaven. But she was saying the stairway that's not there, you walk outside, it's not there now. It was a open building, in between, grass, all of that. And it was something totally different in the image sitting there. Now, first thing we think Photoshop, or maybe it was the window, but she said, no. She said, no, don't think none of that, because that's not what this is. These are actual images of other dimensions that you see on these photos. Again, these people are telling you, they wrote an article, and they decided to call it flavors to try to take away from saying universes, because that will probably put a lot of
panic in the public.
Yeah, so we're going to call it flavor like ice cream, right? And they say they can see into other flavors now. You know what I'm saying? Again, this is coming from their own publications. This is no YouTuber. This is nobody. This is their own publications of what's going on over there. And to me, it's such a fascinating idea that we have a machine that we are now technologically advanced to where we can create a machine that literally can peer into other dimensions. Now, on the scale, we don't know. They're not going to tell us that, because if y'all fuck up and then, you ever seen that movie, The Fog? They did some fucking shit. The Fog, F-O-G.
F-O-G, yes. That's the one with the horror movie, wasn't it?
Right. And
no, that's The Mist.
That's The Mist. I'm sorry.
Hold on, was it called The Mist? The Fog?
Sometimes it's a foggy morning, sometimes it's the misty morning.
Is it the one
It was the cloud.
It was the one where the guy shot everybody in a truck, and then the army was
That is The Mist.
That's The Mist.
And that is based on a Stephen King book that does very much the same kind of thing. Military base, they open up some fucked up dimension to somewhere else.
Right.
So here's a question about this. What was the purpose of creating that machine then? Was it to peer into other dimensions?
Flavors.
Flavors. Rocky Road.
Right. That, my friend, is the question. Like, why resource? Man is greedy as shit and egotistical. We want power and resources. The more resources, the more power.
Yeah, you got to wonder if that was the intention or it was just an innocent byproduct. But so the camera works by capturing light, so it's reflected. But if it's peering into another universe, our light's not reflecting off of that, right? That light is coming out at us or at the camera that's capturing it, which leads to really interesting questions on what the possibilities are to access. If it's only a viewing window or if it's something like a portal. Or
no such thing as a viewing window. When you're dealing with things like this where you're utilizing such energy, first of all, y'all, they pumping so much power every time they turn this bitch on that it can't keep up. You understand? Yo, pardon me, but it's so much
No, this is an explicit podcast.
Yeah.
We say the worst thing.
Bitch is the most mild thing ever said on this.
I mean, he's already dropped a couple of motherfuckers in here anyway.
Yeah.
I mean, he's apologising a bit late.
Oh, God. So this bitch, when they turn this bitch on, y'all, the power that they pump into this motherfucker, yo, to make it run particles at the speed of light. Understand, that's what the fuck is doing. The speed of light is like 6+ million miles an hour. You understand? That's fucking beyond our comprehension. I don't care if you can see the number that's beyond this comprehension right now. You understand? Yeah. When these things hit, and they're not putting like 1 and 1. No, this is a combination of a lot. When these things hit, it's no such thing as a one way. When you're dealing with frequencies and vibrations, because when you interrupt that 3-dimensional safety net that we have, then you're fucking up. What we're looking at is looking at us. What we can get to us, because what we done did is open the door. And I think for a moment, I talked about D-Wave computer, the artificial intelligence. For a moment, this is a computer, again, that can go into multiple parallels of existence and find itself. You understand? It has that type of power. Superposition. It uses quantum. It's a physical representation of quantum physics, like real shit. You understand what I'm saying? This thing, I keep saying superposition, quantum position is because that atom, this atom, they are the same. And I could be a light year away. And as I do this, it does this. You know what I'm saying? We still affect each other. We still respond to each other. We still connected to each other. You understand what I'm saying? So if you put a D-Wave fucking computer connected to a motherfucking CERN, now you have the ability, the programmable ability from a machine that if in this particular existence didn't know how to control the CERN, the mechanism, so it won't black out, so it won't go out, so they have to keep doing repairs, but they can keep it consistent, keep it open consistently for more than just a 30-minute, hour block of time, then imagine what the fuck might come through. Right. You understand what I'm saying?
Because I remember at the very beginning, there was a big panic about the idea of a black hole on the very first shot they started it. That it would create a black hole that would eventually just fuck everything.
Black holes are still theoretical.
For you, Kyle, to give you some idea of what that speed looks like, I've done the math for you.
Thank you.
17 miles is the length of the Hadron Collider, right? That's correct?
That's correct.
These atoms, whatever it is that you're sending around there, these particles, are going roughly 299.8 million meters per second. So to put it into a slightly easier concept for you, 17 miles per lap, say, they are doing 11,245 laps of that ring every second. God. That particle is going at.
Sounds like my 40.
That sounds like NASCAR.
So that's pretty
like your 40, is that what you said?
Yeah.
That's how quick Kyle eats Doritos.
That's right.
So I have a theory. What if when they open that for the first time, because something like flat Earth hasn't been around a whole lot, right? It hadn't. I mean, so there's the historical texts that have the flat Earth belief, and then it kind of dissipated.
It disappears,
and all of a sudden it comes back.
Right.
Not unlike a fad, maybe, but perhaps when they hit that Hadron Collider, that alternate universe, maybe something as simple as an idea floated through
that's dope.
That gateway.
I like that.
And not to say that it's poison, but infiltrated into the brains of citizens of Earth.
Getting back
Trump
to
is president.
And it did, and he wasn't when they turned it on the first time, right? So that's.
No, I think it was about 2012 they turned it on the first time.
So Obama hit his second term.
Ooh.
Boom! They turn it on, and everything goes to shit. I guess depending on your viewpoint.
That is very crazy to say that.
I would love it if they did do it in 2012, just for the Mayan shit.
That was what I was about to say.
The ultimate troll.
Right. Wow, man.
Oh, no.
That would be, I'm starting to think about that like, wow, Lord, no. Because that is crazy as shit. But I will still say that looking at CERN, I like to think that it's scary to me, but at the same time, I'm very thankful to be here to bear witness to watching the Terminator take place. And then we get into the Matrix. And at the same time, while watching this, it was still Gordy Rose. Please do me a favor and go back and listen to some of his shit. He said the entities that we are going to allow into this existence will be like they spoke of in the Bible. And I quote you. It said, as the two went out to look and scout the land, when they came back, they reported, they said, and I quote, we are grasshoppers to them as grasshoppers are unto us. Think about that for one moment. This is what they saw when he was out there, and this is what Gordy Rose said. That he said the entities that may come are not even thinking about us. We'll be like ants to them. They don't even care about stepping over us or on us. They just getting through. You know what I'm saying? But this is what's the fuck is being said. This is the fuck that's the capabilities of this machinery. You know what I'm saying? It's very fucking scary right now. So that's why CERN is such not a turn on, but it's such a very interesting subject to me, artificial intelligence. So I guess, no, AI, artificial intelligence, the different beast. The 5G is what I want y'all to know about next, whatever you may know, because all of this leads into the 5G. And it then goes back to a question about who are they? Because again, all of this is multiple wars on multiple levels that are being positioned properly to just take out everybody or to implement something so massive that I don't think humanity is going to last. I don't think the majority of humanity, once this shit happens, is going to last at all.
Do you think that it's going to be targeted, or it's just going to be an innocent bystander to whatever happens?
I think that, pardon me, gentlemen, but I think that some old white-ass dummies who thought they could control the devil...
to be clear, we haven't specified that you weren't white.
True fact, yeah.
But Bobby is a black man.
We've never specified that we are white, so we are 3 white boys.
I'm a lily white.
I'm a Cocoa Brown black brother. Yeah, very much so. Big teddy bear. But no, real shit.
Malcolm X Files in the building.
It was Bob Marley that said the old white men create the war so that all of the young men can die in them. It's a quote by Bob Marley.
I'm gonna take you away because I'm gonna call out a question, and this I feel is the perfect intersection for it. Talking about wars, old white men creating wars.
Was 9/11 an inside job?
Fuck yeah, it was an inside job. Fuck yeah.
By the United States government or the world government?
I'm gonna say, I'm not, okay.
Or
It didn't just affect the U.S. government.
It didn't. It's, when you watching PBS and the motherfucking owner of the Twin Towers and that whole collective sits there and says, yeah, we went ahead and bought insurance, blah, 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 blah. And yeah, we sat there and the first one went down and, you know, we decided to pull the plug and, bitch, because now you're talking so casually as if we didn't hear that. So let's hit rewind. Did you just say we pulled the plug? That's a demolition term. Building 7 went straight down like a motherfucking demolition that you can find you can find a video on multiple sites. Yeah. The 1 and 2 went down and didn't take down no other buildings. If that was plain his be, just physics alone, some of the debris, physics, ladies and gentlemen, regular motherfucking physics 101.
Here's the thing though, the physics that you're quoting also contradict some of the theories you have about the sun and the moon.
Tell me why.
Well, a moon being that close to us, or an object that size, physics would tell us that it would interfere with us more than simply by viewing.
Only if you believe in gravity.
That's because you about to...
Okay, gotcha. Okay, so I mean, I guess if independent of each other.
So that goes back to a whole different thing.
I stand corrected. I apologize.
Okay, because now I'm about to... That's a whole different conversation
right there
about gravity.
So we got the 9/11.
Okay.
So I do subscribe to the theory of they did set off demolition explosions after the buildings were too far gone.
After? I don't believe that.
Okay.
When I listened to the firefighter on the video say that, listen, we sat there and we just listened and watched the motherfuckers go boom, 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 boom. Then the explosion came from the bottom. Before anything happened up top, the explosion came from the bottom and I just saw people flying back. They have literally documented eyewitness accounts of first responders who would tell you that before, boom, 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 before the plane at the bottom in the basement, there was a large explosion. You know what I'm saying? You got globally, a lot of people benefited because of big dollars. This wasn't your local robbery. This wasn't your local insurance and fire insurance scam for about $100,000 or $200,000 for grandma. You know what I'm saying? No, this was billions. They got, the dude that owned the building got over $2-3 billion for that?
And it's not to, and I think you're getting there too, the action that was taken afterwards to punish those that were, quote unquote, responsible for it, whether it be an excuse to kill those people or kill some of those people or access their resources.
I think the last part, the resources. Poppy fields. After this happened, it was American soldiers that guarded the poppy fields in Afghanistan. Well, what the fuck are poppy fields? Well, we know what poppy fields make. You know what I'm saying? Well, that's a global business right there.
It's illegal everywhere in the States. Why would you need that?
Right, you feel me?
It's been a global business since business was even a word.
You feel me?
Business was business.
But guess who's over there guarding them right now? Who's been guarding them ever since? You know what I'm saying? That's bullshit. How do y'all tell us that we doing all of this? How do y'all tell us after we go over there and y'all find absolutely not? I still remember when Bush was on TV and said, forget about it. Forget about the weapons of mass destruction. We didn't find we were wrong about that. And he just kept talking. You know what I'm saying? Like, what the fuck? Hold on, buddy. We just, brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles just died going over here to do this bullshit because of what the fuck y'all sold us on. And now you're saying don't give a fuck about it? Don't even think about it? That's out of here? What the fuck is you saying? I mean, there was so many signs that this was bullshit afterwards. Just from the commentators. Like,
I mean, it stank of high shit before they even hit the let's go button.
Yeah,
and started recruiting.
I think that So I have two thoughts on it, independent of anything else. I think that Bush was not in the know, because I think he's
an idiot.
His entire reaction, to be honest, he was far too nice of a person to be subscribed to the evil plan that shit was going to be, right? He's fundamentally not a dickhead. Like, he's a dickhead as far as Republicans are dickheads, but he wasn't a full-on, like, Dick Cheney level supervillain dickhead. No, right. Like, I think that he was more just a figurehead than he was, like, the mastermind.
Dick Cheney might have been a mastermind for sure.
Now that I'm going to subscribe to whether... Now, I'm not convinced like the penguin. He does. I'm not convinced that 9/11 was an inside job, personally. I am convinced that the US government, with Dick Cheney as its big boy, allowed for an opportunity like that to happen to give us our next weapon, like our next...
Giving us an excuse to swing.
The long kiss goodnight.
I'm not sure that they knew it was going to be to this level, or the explosion at the bottom of the building really was the thing and that did happen and it was planned all the way through. I don't know. But it's interesting.
It was so many people that were told not to come to work that day in certain specific, you know what I'm saying, offices. That is crazy. Like you said, it was way too many signs and shit, you know what I'm saying, not to think that it might have been an inside job. It was something you just said, though, I wanted to respond to about that. Oh, my God. What was it you said, though? I didn't want to interrupt you while you were speaking.
Dick Cheney being a dickhead?
He is a dickhead.
Giving us an opportunity.
Long Kiss Goodnight. You ever seen that movie, Samuel L. Jackson?
No.
It's a movie. Oh, my God. It's a movie where, here's the premises. Here's the whole fucking shit. 9/11. That's it. That's the movie. Okay, real shit. So what happens is, there's a spy. The CIA wants to get more funding so that they can do more civilian terrorist type shit.
Okay.
Right, surveillance. They said, no, we don't need this shit. We're not going to do that. So basically what they concocted was, we're going to fake a terrorist bombing, and that way we're going to get that, the money. So what they did was, it was a small town. It was a holiday, Christmas. There was about 3,000 something people that were there. And what they did was took a dead Iraq body, put it in there, and they were supposed to drive it, you know what I'm saying, and boom, blow it up, because it was back of the truck was a tanker full of chemicals, big explosion, everybody died.
Right.
That's what I think when I think 9/11. Because yes, we have to consider the fact that this opened up the doors for a lot of other shit. As soon as this happened, what acts came into law? That's the question. What happened directly after what came into law? Well, you had Homeland Security. There was the Patriot Act. I think 1 and 2 or both of them actually came out within the same year, 2 years, but they we gave up our liberties. We gave up our privacy. We gave up portions of our freedom because of the fear that was pumped into us by this movie called Long Kiss Goodnight that we called the 9/11 bombers.
Right.
Bullshit all the way around. I call bullshit, and that's my final answer. I'm sorry.
And they changed French fries to freedom fries too. So
It is, yeah.
I fucked up a whole lifestyle, bro.
What else should we have? That's probably going to be one of the last points.
I don't think we're going to have enough time to get into whatever the 5G thing is we're going to get into. We have about 7 minutes. Can you do that justice in 7 minutes? I don't feel like you can, given how long it's taken for the other
stuff. If you want, we can use the 8 minutes to wind down to ask any more questions.
Well, that's what I was thinking.
And we'll have him back another time.
That would be awesome.
He'll have a little document of whatever he wants to talk about.
Because I'm going to bring back more information about the sun simulators. I'm going to bring back the actual patents. I promise you I'm going to look for those and find those for y'all.
Cool. Nice. Cool. What questions do we have? Do you think Colin Kaepernick's a good quarterback?
Yeah, man. No. We're not doing this again. We're not doing this again.
He like Tony Romo before they shitted on him. How you motherfucking have football games where you throwing everywhere between 300 to 500 yards a game, but y'all losing, and your whole state want to blame you for the loss? No, he is throwing 300 to 500. Fucking, you understand?
See, Bobby,
right, no, I'm not doing it. I'm moving on to something a lot easier to discuss. Reptilians.
To give you context, Bobby, we
don't even need context. Bobby's on my side. We've determined this.
We went through the entire league and said, out of all the quarterbacks out there, tell us which ones of these you'd put Colin Kaepernick in. And like half the league, he was putting Kaepernick in. Wow. Even over Lamar Jackson.
Because like Colin, I kneel for the anthem.
Okay.
I'm on record. I'll be on record.
So, genuine question though. If it's flat, the reptilian stuff. Have you read into the reptilian stuff? Do you buy into any of that? Because I guess the whole idea of a reptilian race leads into hollow Earth, but it can't be hollow if it's flat.
It can be, because now you're only thinking from a three-dimensional mindset, and when you have to remember that everything in existence is layered, and the top layer always affects the layers below it, are higher evolutions of the layers before it. Whereas the fourth and fifth dimension, you can deal in the fourth dimension in your own mind just by keeping your mouth quiet and saying your own name. You realize that you still hear your name and your voice. That's because it's in a different frequency right now beyond that which you currently are existing in.
Which would make a shitty podcast.
Very much so it would, sir. But I do believe in it. The Hopi Indians, they're a very good example just with that old art and being able to see the individuals that they drew that they said came up out of the ground and saved them. And it's every place on the planet. It's not one place on the planet that doesn't speak about some sort of, whether it be reptilian, ant-like, or what's the other insect? The mantis-like being.
Yeah, praying mantis.
Exactly. So even though these are just certain breeds of those who have visited or may exist and who do coexist in different frequencies in the same grounds, I do believe in a, for the sake of a better word, think about this for a moment. In our development while we're still in our mother's womb, at one stage, you too are a lizard. But the difference is that the darkness of your eyes and the darkness of your spine, that line, the darkness is melanin and the line is melanin, because melanin is very important in your development as you're being born in the womb, as you're creating, because again, the mother is taking a soul and mending it with flesh, you know what I'm saying, and then providing this time period to grow. But it's a beautiful thing. So yes, I do believe in it.
Okay. You can have one each. And then I'm going to drop one word in afterwards.
Building on that just briefly then, so we do subscribe, then it sounds like, to the theory of evolution, right? Of single cell. Okay, so so the belief is not single cell organism. Eventually, now we're humans over millions of years.
Not at all. The Darwin thing business, Darwinian.
The Darwinian theory.
I can't believe in it because it has to leave so many holes. From one species to the next, leaps and bounds. And even when you get into, how they try to say we from apes and everything, yes, you can find similarities in just the different trees and bushes, you know what I mean? But no, we didn't come from these things. Our DNA, when you look at it, there's a particular area where it's spliced. You know what I'm saying? That it couldn't have been done no other way. It's not a natural phenomenon. You understand what I'm saying? Okay. And genealogists have figured that out and have stated that this is not natural, but yet, this has been spliced and mended together so that we can grow in a certain fashion. And there's another, I want to say, I don't know the chromosome, but it's something that we have. It's
either X or Y, I think. This is the two choices.
But it's right, silly. But it's something else. We're missing something that is keeping us from utilizing our higher abilities, like your pineal gland. It is calcified, and if it wasn't, we would be able to think. That's what I'm talking about.
We got the whole roadmap, but we're only able to access 80% of it.
We ain't got the whole roadmap because they won't give it to us, and then we only working on what we think is the whole, so we only doing 10%, right?
Gotcha.
Yeah, we like short on gas, bro, about to run out right now.
It sounds like you're on 12% at least, because you're...
I don't know. I read a lot.
I'm not like 8.
Well, I mean, I did read an interesting article a while ago that, like, when scientists were looking at all the species on the Earth, we're different to the rest in the way that we react and we react with our environment, and they can't pin exactly when that change happened.
And the defining difference is usually that brain activity, though,
yes.
Right? Because, like, what if the only difference between us and a chimpanzee would be the motor function of the brain, because physically we're similar, if not the same. Give birth the same way, can walk the same way, but it's the brain, whether it's the evolution of the brain or it's whatever Bobby just suggested, which I don't know how to define.
We're very close to wrapping up. So Kyle,
you do your one word, because I feel like if I ask a question, we're going to go about 20 minutes.
Okay.
Okay. One last thing for the next episode. Now, I don't know how far you've delved into the Nazis.
A lot. Actually, a family I used to study with made me read one of Hitler books so that I can know my enemy.
Excellent. So, the next episode, we'll go into a bit
They
of Nazi
made you
shit,
read
too.
his book?
I used to study with a family from Africa, and one of the things that I had to do was learning culture and history is know your
Gotcha. It wasn't like they forced you to be like, this is a great book.
You read this damn book.
He's thinking of Minecraft.
I need you to get some great ideas out of this.
Hey, gentlemen, I enjoyed myself, man.
Excellent. Bobby, I think I can speak for everyone that's listening and us. Thank you for coming by.
Yes, thank you.
It was a pleasure.
We will we'll have you back in. It probably won't be the immediate next episode, but we got a lot of time to fill over the next couple months.
Without question, just
We've got a long summer.
Yeah,
We'll find time.
these are lean times for sports.
Yeah, right, no doubt. Yeah, we got to have sport of the mind.
some filler right now, right?
Absolutely. All right, guys.
This is better than filler. This is better than filler.
This is good shit. Thank you guys for listening. If you haven't yet, feel free to subscribe. Keep an eye out for that next Bobby podcast. We'll be talking about it when it comes up. And if you have any questions or suggestions, sportstrebuchetpod@gmail.com. Maybe you have some questions or theories you want Bobby to go over next time. I can keep it stored away and we can address it then. Everyone have a good one and have a great Memorial Day, despite it being for all the... Bobby, what do you think about Memorial Day? Just end on that note.
You know what? I just know it's my birthday. Haven't really dwelled into it.
Get out of here! It's your birthday. That's worth memorial enough.
There we go. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Bobby.
Thank you, y'all.
Happy birthday.